Hello, I'm Rick Bartolini. I'm a concert promoter in Hawaii. Growing up in Santa Rosa, California, the memories I have are very painful. Around one and two, like my earliest childhood memories are running through the house, screaming, just in sheer terror, because I was having dreams that I was in the fireplace on fire in our childhood home. And those went on for years and years and years. Everybody kind of passed them off as like, oh, he's having nightmares. But a child doesn't have nightmares like that unless there's a reason. They were both alcoholics, raging alcoholics. Evil, just evil. I've heard stories of being thrown against the wall from across the room as a baby. And I was probably abused even when I was in the womb, just from alcohol and drugs and violence around. So I probably came out scared. The worst things that she did, though, so she would come home, we'd pretend to be asleep, she'd burst into our rooms screaming, and she would tell us to get into the car, and she would drive down the 101 and literally go into the oncoming traffic. And she would just be screaming, calling us names, saying, I'm just gonna drive into a semi-truck and kill us all, like literally screaming. And I would be huddled down in the back seat behind the passenger seat, like on the floor, terrified, bracing for impact. I had no nurturing, no love, no protection. I had no safe place. I had no safe place, and that went on into my teens. I missed a lot. I didn't get an education because I couldn't, because I was in a constant state of fight or flight. I didn't have friends in school. I only had people that wanted to beat the crap out of me. I hid constantly as a kid. I was either hiding in my room, I would hide in the library. I never ate lunch with a student ever, not even through high school. I was scared. I was scared. I mean, I think that teachers treated me differently because I wasn't engaged. I couldn't understand what was happening. Like, why can't I learn? And why is this guy yelling at me? This one guy that was really flamboyant was like passing me notes. The other kids got wind of it. I wanted nothing to do with it because I knew what the consequence was going to be. And when I walked out of class, I didn't even see it coming. I was on the ground and then there was blood, so, I was worthless, When I left high school, I was working in the record stores, excelling, like I was not gonna fail. Madonna's publicist took like an interest in me, and before too long I was flying to New York and going to like a party where Madonna was at for the release of her erotica album and her sex book. And here I am, like 23. I'm in New York going to Mariah Carey's office, and how did I get here? There was one point where the local paper in Santa Rosa did a whole expose on my work, and I remember I had worked with Olivia Newton-John, who was like my childhood idol, so I knew that that was going to be the feature, me and her. And so I went down to the paper to pick it up at 3 a.m. or whatever, and just kind of looked through it, and there were a million photographs of me and different celebrities and stuff, and it was like a big spread. Then I went to bed, and then I got up and grabbed it again and went out on the porch and started to cry and said, I'm like, this isn't enough. None of that success really healed me. I thought that if I was gonna be successful, that it would heal me, and it just never came. I always felt like a sweet guy. I could be really explosive and mean. I wasn't gonna fail, and I was always in a state of fight or flight. So if I sensed anything real or imaginary that would hurt me, I would burn it to the ground.
So really easy guy to get along with.
I'm not proud of it. I recognize that now, and I've learned to control those behaviors. And I've done my apology tour. That's what happens when you're not protected as a child. One of my best friends, Odessa, she just showed up at work one day at the theater and with kittens and cornered me. People at work wanted me to get kittens. They probably sensed that I needed something. Ended up taking 2 home. The unconditional love that they gave me was mutual. They were scared, I was scared. My cats were the first time I ever loved and had ever experienced unconditional love. So the loss was indescribable. I didn't name them for 10 years. Like, I was 95% in, but naming them left that, like, I'm gonna lose, if I lose them, which I eventually did, both of them. I never take it off. And then that loss was the most painful experience of my whole life. I couldn't breathe. I ended up in a wheelchair because of the tenseness. Even though I got my boys and had unconditional love from them, and then the loss, I still was not healing. I was still on not just pain medication, but mental health medication. And through a series of events at the end of last year, I was in trouble. I had never contemplated like killing myself before, but I got this close. I had seen a Netflix special about LSD, ketamine, psilocybin. So I looked up who does that. There was this place, Immersive, in Portland. So I immediately got on a plane. I called them, got on a plane. Mental health medication, brain medication kept me safe. It didn't, deal with the problem. So my family failed me. My teachers failed me. My therapist failed me. Pharmaceutical drugs failed me. Given it was the closest I've ever come to ending my life, I was scared that it wasn't going to work and it was my last chance. For me, what happened during these treatments was, it's like pulling a cork out of a champagne bottle. Everything comes out. I remembered every small, minute detail of my life and was able to connect all of these dots. If you would have told me all of these things that I'm gonna say, I would have said you're batshit fucking crazy. But I'm a believer now. I was able to spend time with that boy that was burning. I was able to feel him. It wasn't scary, but I was able to comfort him. I was able to comfort him and myself. It made those feelings more readily available. So I came out of that changed in ways that therapy couldn't, that meds couldn't, that people loving me couldn't. I came out of it wanting to deepen the friendships that I have, realizing that people care for me and how people have cared for me throughout my life since my teens. Within weeks, I decided I was going to get cats again. It was time to open that up. And I have them now, and they're so sweet. We're in the get to know each other stage now. And so that's about opening my heart again. I feel like my life is just starting. If you've tried everything else, this could be your answer as it was mine. A lot of people say, oh, I've tried mushrooms in the past. This is an experience that's guided in a loving way. These facilitators are professionally trained. You're in good hands. They're not your buddy tripping out. Thank you for listening to my story. If my story resonates with you, I encourage you to contact Immersive and trust in these treatments. I'm just hoping through this program that I can save people some time and maybe save some lives in the process.